This, of course, has come in from New Zealand, where Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has, in a shock announcement, said that she will step down as the Prime Minister next month. Listen in.
And so today I'm announcing that I will not be seeking re-election, and that my term as Prime Minister will conclude no later than the 7th of February. This has been the most fulfilling 5.5 years of my life, but it has also had its challenges.
At the meeting of her Labour Party, Ardern said that she simply did not have enough in her tank to do the job. Her term as Prime Minister would conclude no later than the 7th of February. Now, holding back tears in her emotional resignation speech, Jacinda Ardern announced the next election will be held on the 14th of October later this year.
I am leaving because with such a privileged role comes responsibility. The responsibility to know when you are the right person to lead and also when you are not. I know what this job takes, and I know that I no longer have enough in the tank to do it justice. It's that simple.
The Labour caucus will now ascertain as to whether any candidate has more than 2/3 of the caucus's support. The caucus will vote on the 22nd of January, and if a leader is successfully elected, then Ardern will issue her resignation to the Governor-General. If no one gets this level of support, then the contest will, of course, go to the wider membership. Now, Ardern became the world's youngest female head of a government when she was elected as the Prime Minister back in 2017, when she was just 37 years old at the time. She's led New Zealand through the COVID-19 pandemic and also major disasters, including the Christchurch terror attack and also the White Island volcanic eruption. But describing it as the most fulfilling 5.5 years, the two-term Prime Minister has said that she is unwilling to run again. Now, Ardern has said that she had no future plans other than to spend more time with her family. Now, the Prime Minister's announcement has come as New Zealand is entering a closely fought election year. Polling over recent months had placed the Ardern-led Labour Party slightly behind the opposition National Party, who will replace Ardern, however, is still not clear. The Deputy Leader and the Finance Minister, Grant Robertson, who would be considered a front-runner for the role, has said that he would not be seeking the position. Meanwhile, the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, in fact, took to Twitter to react on this development. He said that Ardern has shown the world how to lead with intellect and strength. Now, Albanese further added that he's looking forward to working with the next Prime Minister of New Zealand. All right, now to give us more insights in terms of Jacinda Ardern, in fact, stepping down as the Prime Minister of New Zealand is not seeking another term. We're being joined in by Chris Lynch, who's joining us from Christchurch, New Zealand. Now, Chris, this of course is a pretty big announcement in New Zealand's politics. Jacinda Ardern has said that she does not want to seek another term. Does this come as a surprise for the people in New Zealand?
It's a good question. I think the simple answer is yes and no. You have to recall and remember that Jacinda Ardern was an extremely successful and very popular Prime Minister in her early administration, but that changed dramatically, of course. First, we had COVID-19, the global pandemic, and she was largely credited with helping New Zealand through that. But things did start to change, and you only have to look at the front pages or perhaps some of the polling results that have been put out in the last couple of hours. 80% are saying that she has made the right decision to stand down, and that's a poll of about 45,000 people. So, you know what they say about politics, it's a long time to to be in politics and even it's a week, but her popularity did really start to slide in the last 18 months, with people just getting sick of what can be described as the fake facade about some of the issues related to COVID-19 and so many other divisive issues in this country.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, as you said, that her popularity has plummeted, but in one of the statements that she has said, I'm not leaving because I believe we can't win, but because I believe we can, but it requires a fresh set of shoulders. Who do you think is the most likely replacement for Jacinda Ardern for the Labour Party in New Zealand?
Well, who would actually know? I mean, as you said, that Grant Robinson, the deputy, has said he doesn't want it, but things can change in 24 hours. Perhaps somebody, though, that does seem quite likeable is Minister Chris Hipkins. He's taken over some incredibly large portfolios, including the COVID-19 response portfolio and the police minister portfolio. Quite statesmanlike, comes across quite assertive, has a good sense of humour, seems like he knows what he's talking about. So he's almost been seen as, quote unquote, Mr. Fix-It in New Zealand. So I would put my bets on him. Of course, there is a very powerful minister among the New Zealand Government caucus, that is the Minister of Māori Affairs, Nanaia Mahuta. She has managed to cause probably some, or ruffle some feathers across New Zealand with the agenda of co-governance. And for your audience who may not be aware of that, that's about essentially having two sets of governance. One, New Zealand as we know it today, and a separate governance for New Zealand's Indigenous people, Māori. And while some may say that's a step in the right direction, others, many commentators, both left and right here in New Zealand, say that type of policy has been incredibly damaging for New Zealand, incredibly divisive, policies based solely on race.
All right, very interesting. My last question to you, Lynch, is, of course, this. Now, Jacinda Ardern was a very hands-on Prime Minister. She was there throughout this COVID-19 pandemic. Initially, her approach was praised because New Zealand had managed to tide over the COVID-19 pandemic with much better results than the rest of the world. You know, what is the legacy, do you think, that she leaves behind? She said that she just wants to step away from politics and wants to spend more time with her family. But considering as to how involved she was with New Zealand's politics, do you think she'll be able to actually step away from New Zealand's politics as she says that she would want to do?
No, of course not. I think she's stepping away now, while arguably her international reputation remains somewhat intact. Her poll results are incredibly low now. I think she will be remembered, though, perhaps internationally, and you have to say, for her incredible sense of solidarity and support for the Muslim community here in Christchurch, where I'm based, when we had those horrible terror attacks at two mosques here in Christchurch. She really did manage to bring people together, both of all ethnicities. And what I always like about the fact, the aftermath of this is when I'm, traveling internationally, people often say, where are you from? And I say, from New Zealand. And the first thing they'll say is, gee, Christchurch really did handle itself with grace and lots of love. That was actually championed by Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. So I think she'll be hoping her legacy is one of kindness, but whether that remains the same today, given the poll results, well, it's anyone's guess.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Chris Lynch, for joining us and getting us all those insights from Christchurch there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.